Hello and welcome to this instalment of Talking Trim. I'm Jonathon Skinner and today we're looking at the main interior trim panels for the Jaguar MK2, also applicable for the 240 and 340 models, which are essentially Jag MK2s, barring the materials that were used. So these are the main cockpit cabin panels. I haven't included any of the boot trunk area, haven't included sort of centre console, carpets, headliner or seats. This is just the sort of perimeter panels, as it were. Now, all of these panels are included as standard in our trim kit, or you can buy them individually. Now, as with most of our items, individually means car sets. So, for example, the A-post Footwell panels are sold as a pair. The door panels are actually sold as a set of 4, so 2 fronts, 2 rears, including the armrest and pockets, etc., etc. There's a couple of exceptions to that, which I'll mention as I go through. But yeah, for the most part, that's how we do it. Now, as with all of our Jag interiors, if you buy it as a trim kit, it works out cheaper than buying all of the individual items separately. So just bear that in mind. We've done this to OEM spec, which is essentially vinyl for the majority of the pieces in this video, with just a couple of bits in leather, which are these upper D-post panels, which were always leather on the MK2s, but would have been vinyl on the 240 and 340 models. It's been done in our dark blue, which is akin to the original dark blue used by Jaguar. It's got the correct grading on it. That being said, let's dive on in. So let's start at the very front of the car. Work my way through. So we have got the A-post Footwell panels, which are these panels here. They are millboard, fiberboard material, cut on our in-house CNC. They include the metal clip, which gets trimmed and through the slot and riveted on. Then it's trimmed all the way around, apart from on this front edge here where we leave a flap, and that's done intentionally to allow it to tuck underneath the carpet section at the front. Just to show you in a book, although you can't actually really see it, the Footwell panels are these parts here, just in front of the doors in the Footwell area. So if you were sat in the driver's seat on this right-hand drive car, you would kick your foot to the right, and these would be the panel there. You can see the orientation there. This is the right-hand side of the car. So yeah, that's those parts there, trimmed all the way around apart from one on one edge to allow nice fitment. You then have these items here, which we refer to as the dash windscreen sides. They're a very small item. You get basically millboard, which is creased to allow it to bend. You get the foam padding, and you get ample material there to trim it. And again, you're not going to be able to see it in this photo. I have got some good photos on my website, or at least a couple of good photos. They kind of go just there, right on the end of the dash area there. So again, they're sold as a pair or included as standard in the trim kit. You've then got the under dash panels. Now these vary between left-hand drive and right-hand drive. This video is actually for a right-hand drive car. So you get, for the driver's side, a trimmed metal piece. Obviously it goes in the car the other way up like that. They do vary between left-hand drive and right-hand drive in terms of the shape. We have the patterns for all of them, so don't worry. And then on the passenger side, you get this millboard piece here, which again is trimmed all the way around. Again, obviously it would be upside down in the car, all cut on our in-house CNC machine for accuracy and consistency each time. Right, moving further back, sorry, I'm doing a bit of a balancing act here. You then have the door panel set. Now, as mentioned earlier, we sell this as a set of 4. So, pair of front doors, pair of rear doors, and the associated armrests and pockets for both of them. So it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, plus these pieces here. Now, these are all cut in hardboard on our in-house CNC machine. As you can see from the backing panels, they've got all of the pilot holes that you need for fixing, all of the bits that you need for the armrest to be attached on, the windscreen, the window handles to move the windows up and down, as well as the door release handles, both on the front and rears. Now the front, you actually have the pocket flap attached, and it's elasticated. You can see elastic here, and we trim the back of those in a wool cloth material to match your headliner. The armrest on these, you can see, is not actually trimmed to the panel. I've just loosely put that in place to show you where it goes. That's done intentionally. You want to be doing that at your end during the fitment process. And obviously you can see we've got all of the pilot holes ready for you there. The reason for that is they just get damaged in shipping, so it's just not worthwhile at all to actually put them on there. You'll notice down this edge as well, we do a big overlap. Now on the front doors, they actually protruded over the bodywork of the actual door panel. So we trim this over the top so that you get a nice seamless finish, because otherwise you would just see hardboard on there. It's worth noting you do get fixing holes behind here, so you just have to work your finger down. There you are, I found one there. And you'll find the relevant fixing holes for attaching them. We trim them all the way around apart from the top edge, which again is done intentionally, as that goes underneath a capping on the door. Let's just have a look at these. So that's the wooden capping there, obviously, and this is the leading edge here, which you can't quite see overhangs, but it does ever so slightly. Obviously those are for the window winder, that was the word I was looking for earlier, and door release on those. So yeah, it's worth noting as well, on the door panels they have this HF RF high frequency weld pattern on the material. So we're one of the only companies in the world that has that original tooling, so we can do that on the front and rear doors. We can do that in vinyl or in leather, so just bear that in mind. Exactly the same on the rear doors there. Same concept on the rears as well, in terms of the flap along the top, and you obviously have the pilot holes there for helping attach the capping. The rear armrest is a much bigger one, again trimmed but sent loose. Now this has a, you can see they had ashtrays in them. Majority of the cars did, not all of them. Now we allow for the ashtray in these, but we don't trim it out. What we do, you can see all the rivets on the back here, and this semi applies to the front as well. We have these sort of metal panels here, reinforcement panels, which allow for you to fix it onto the actual panels and reinforce, etc. Now in the rear armrest, you have one of these ashtray brackets located in here, and there'll be a piece of foam that's basically high density foam, so it's nice and firm, that basically slots in there, then some foam over the top. So if you decide to put the ashtrays in there, I can give you a guide of how to cut down, and you'll find basically the foam, you can take it out, and then this is the ashtray holder effectively that sits inside like that. Now we can supply these, we don't as standard, they're a special order item, so just bear that in mind. I've just put this in this video just to show you the element of what it looks like when it's all in place, but basically this bracket is in place in there, ready for you to reuse your original one, or we can supply those on special order, so just bear that in mind. A lot of people don't put ashtrays in there these days, but the concept's there if you do want it to be included in your restoration. Some people choose to put electric windows, switches there, etc. So just bear that in mind, that is included. Now the rear pocket is again fully trimmed up, very neat job, and we line that again in a wool cloth headlining material to match your headliner. In this instance, obviously the customer's gone for a grey headliner, so we've matched that up on the inside there. These are the little details that we go to with these things to make sure everything looks the part in your car. So yeah, that's the front and rear door panel set, which, like I say, is a 4-piece set plus the armrests and pockets. Now we've got the door liners. Now this is something that a lot of people omit from their kits that we do not. This rectangle here and this rolled up piece here, and what I've done is I've printed off, this is a door panel off a Mark II obviously. Now you have this recess, which is where it sits behind the pocket there, and the problem is with these pockets is you put stuff in it and it just falls out the back into the car and long lost. So we do this vinyl here, which is more than enough in terms of the size. It goes almost as long as the panel and about halfway up, so ample there, and that allows you to trim into the recess of your bodywork. So one, if you open up the pocket, you're also going to see a lined bit with the same material as your main trim, but more importantly, it stops things from going missing within the bodywork of your car. So just bear that in mind. That is sold separately, i.e. in a pair, but is included as standard in the trim kit, so just bear that in mind. Right, what we got next? BC posts. Pair of BC posts. So these are the bits that sit in between the front and rear doors. They're obviously paired up. They're millboard, fiberboard, cut on our in-house CNC as ever. They have obviously the fixing holes there. They have the flap at the top as these, let's see, don't know if I found a good picture or not actually in these books, but the flap at the top, because you have the wooden part that sits above it, so that tucks underneath the flap. Basically it's behind this element of the seats here, or tucked around here. If you look on the back of it, there's a little cutaway here which is where the seatbelt is, but we float that over as it allows you to be a bit more flexible in getting a nice neat finish with the BC post and the seatbelt where it comes out. So just bear that in mind. So they're sold as a pair or included as standard in the trim kits. Furflex, draft excluder, door lacing, whatever you want to refer to it as. We supply this as standard in our trim kit or as a kit on its own. We supply enough of it to go around the 4 doors, which is just over 12 meters. This is not 12 meters, excuse me. This is just a demonstration to show you. So it's obviously the P-shaped material with the flange there, has the rubber core in it, and it's the kind of moquette material around the edge as per original. Quite a few colours available in that, so just bear that in mind. This is obviously dark blue to tie in. Now obviously the blue is going to be tying in with the wool carpet and the moquette that's used on the backs of the seats and the centre console area, so just bear that in mind. We can also offer a tacking strip material that helps you tack that round the doors. That is sold as an optional extra. It is not included in the trim kit. Please see my other video for that. Right, moving back further in the car, we have the lower bulkhead. Goes from left to right on the car, sits directly below the rear seat, and it's a piece of vinyl or leather. This has been done in vinyl as original. Now we actually do a bit of top stitching detailing in the middle of ours next to the archway there. A lot of people just give you a rectangle of vinyl, not even cut vaguely to shape with a cutout. We go that extra mile. We can do it in one piece if you prefer, but many people like this top stitching detail that we do on there. And it basically sits all around this bottom edge here of the rear seat and wraps around the corner there. So it's a very long piece of material. So that is sold on its own or as part of the trim kit. Then we've got the rear parcel shelf. It's a trimmed panel, hardboard foamed, CNC'd, etc. It's got the necessary fixings in them which we tape up to protect in the shipment, and we leave these flaps on. That all becomes evident why when you're trimming it. So it's all related to the way it sits behind the rear seat. But that panel basically is directly behind the rear seat. Unfortunately, you don't have a photo. Right underneath the rear windscreen. Underneath the rear windscreen, rather. So that there is sold on its own or included as standard in the trim kit. And finally, we have the D-post cover panels. You have the upper one, which was always leather on the Mark IIs, and then vinyl on the 240 and 340 models. And then you have the lower ones there. So the lower one is always vinyl on all models, and it kind of sits in that recess there. It's effectively there on the lower part. So if you open up the door, you'll see it on the bodywork area of the car. Then this upper one here sits directly next to the rear seat backrest corner, which is why it's done in leather, because obviously it's directly next to some leather, and you can just see the corner of it poking out there on the photo in this book here. So that's that piece there, albeit the other side. This is the left side, this is the right side here. So that's those there. Bear in mind, this one here, it is actually built up on that corner there, as you can see, and we do a very neat job of trimming that round and making sure that we trim all the way round so that you don't see any of the hardboard material on the back there. Right, I think that's it. So I've tried to keep that as short as possible, but I see we're almost at 15 minutes. So apologies, I hope you kept the attention on that. But yeah, tried to keep that as neat and concise as possible. But that's basically our main cockpit trim panels for the Jag Mark II and the 240 and 340 models. Like I say, cheaper to buy as a trim kit than buying all the items individually, but you can do that if you prefer. Please remember to tune into our other Jag Mark II videos for the boot trunk area and other areas of the main cockpit cabin, such as the carpets, headliner, seats and console. Remember to press like and subscribe, and please share with other classic car enthusiasts out there. And of course, if you've got any comments, please leave them below. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.